What's up, everybody? Dog1985. There's levels to this. All right, check this out. Shout out to Grim Sage. I think that's how you say your name, right? He left me a comment in my last video that I made, and he asked me to make this video. So don't get mad at me. He asked me for this video. I went ahead and I'm making it, okay? So I've made videos about the Xbox Series S before. And the last video I think I made about it, I said, we're just going to let it breathe. We're going to see what happens in time. All right. So here's the deal. His question is this. Basically, is the Xbox Series S holding back the Xbox Series X and the PS5 for that matter, too, right? Now I can already hear everybody saying no, 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 no. This is my answer to this. I don't know, but I think it will hold back game development. That's my God's honest truth. His question was if games weren't being made, when games stopped being made for the PS4 and for the Xbox One, when games stopped being made for them, and the lowest spec machine is the Xbox Series S, is that machine going to hold back, development for the Xbox Series X, or the potential for the great games on Xbox Series X and the PS5? Logically, I would say yes. Now I know you guys are gonna jump and say PC, this, and that, blah, blah, blah. But listen, games on PC have minimum requirements in order to play it, right? So it's not like you could have a 1050 Ti and be able to play games for eternity. Like eventually the games are gonna be unplayable. Right now, I'm not saying that the Xbox Series S is equivalent to a 1050 Ti. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that a lot of you overestimated what the Xbox Series S was capable of doing. Okay, a lot of you on my same channel left me comments talking about the Xbox Series S is a great deal, Doc. Have no idea what you're talking about. The only difference, all they got to do is drop the resolution down, and it's going to be able to play games at 60 frames, 1440p. That's what you said. And even if you didn't say 1440p and you said 1080p, which that should be the standard right now, you're still wrong. The Xbox Series S plays some games at 900p, some games even lower than that, and some games that can't even hit 60. This is a next-gen console, some games that can't even hit 60. Now, if you're going to mention tools, please stop, because there's Sony fans that watch my video and we look ridiculous when we talk about tools. When are these tools going to be available? When are we going to see the power of the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S? When? I paid $500 for that console. When am I going to get to see my investment? That's crazy. Stop. Just stop, okay? Anyways, back to the topic at hand. We're just going to use logical sense. That's all we're going to use. Common sense, right? Game developers are going to want their games to play on all three platforms. The reality is, whether you like it or not, that Xbox Series S did sell. It did sell. It's hard to get an Xbox Series S. It's hard to get an Xbox Series X. And it's really hard to get a PS5. Like, good luck. But you're not going to sit here and tell me that you're going to walk into whatever store you want and just pick up an S or an X. Now you're just lying to yourself. So they sold. So developers know that whatever game they make, it has to be able to run on the Xbox Series S. Now think about this logically. Let's say a game developer out there decided to make the most graphically intense game possible that can only be ran by RTX 3080, right? Let's say they did that. That game would look amazing if a RTX 3080 was like the only thing that could run it, right? Meaning if you have a 3070, 3060, you still can't play it. 2080, 2070, you still can't play it. Now, we'll use that same concept for these consoles. If game developers made sure, let's just talk with first party games for Xbox, right? Because the Xbox is the most powerful console. So their first party on paper. So their first party games should be able to utilize all of its power. Are we agreeing with that? Now imagine if they made a game so graphically beautiful, so graphically intense with the physics and everything, that the Xbox Series X and all its power could only run the game at 1080p, 30 frames per second, but it was still the most beautiful game you ever saw in your life, and it was well worth it. That game would run like trash on the Xbox Series S. Would it not? So with that logic, how can you sit there and think that the Xbox Series S is not going to hold back the potential of being able to use that power on the Xbox Series X? I would argue that Sony fans should be upset at the Xbox Series S, because that could potentially be holding back third-party developers from making the best-looking games on the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, because they know they have to let the game run on the Series S. Now, take away ray tracing, right? So like a game like Control has no ray tracing on the S, runs at a smooth 30, and I don't even know what resolution it runs at. I think, what does it run at, 900 or something? I don't know what it runs at. Okay, that's Control. All right. The argument is that as game developers learn how to use these systems, that they're gonna be able to run better. So and that to me doesn't that to me just doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make sense. An old game like Control running at 30 frames per second on the Xbox Series S, which was a game for the PS4 and the Xbox One, right? As games keep developing, like GTA 6, if GTA 6 is being developed for the Xbox Series X and the PS5, like it should be, I want that game to be amazing. I don't want it to be held back by anything. And if you believe that Rockstar doesn't have to think about making sure the game runs somewhat smoothly on the S, then you tripping. It's not as clearly it's not as simple as it is on PC. On PC, you literally drop the resolution and then you can play the game at high frame rates. You could drop all the graphics settings and then you can play the game at high frame rate. You can't do that. It's whatever default the developers use for the S. But again, how much can they pack into a game when that limitation is coming from the S? You're gonna tell me, Doc, you don't know what you're talking about. As developers are saying that it's not difficult. Well, you know what? There's been mixed feelings about that. Some developers have said that yes, it's a lot easier to develop for one. That makes so much sense. That makes so much. Think about the just first party studios when PS5 is making when Sony's making games for the PS5, they only have to worry about the PS5. They don't, and when they drop the PS4, this is just one configuration. Let's maximize this one configuration. Let's put all our resources into this one configuration. But with Xbox, they can't do that. And if you really believe it's just as simple as scaling the game down, and that's not going to affect anything else, then I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know what to tell you. I don't think that's going to be the case. And I'm curious to see how long the Xbox Series S lasts. Is it going to last 6 years? Is it going to last 7 years? Is it going to be relevant? If games right now are running at 900p, what's going to happen 7 years from now when games get bigger, have more physics in it, have more graphics in it? Like, what's going to happen? I don't know. So, Grim Sage, I'm not a developer, so I don't know, man. But I hope that it doesn't hold it back. But the reality is, I think the Xbox Series S on one side is great for those people that don't really care, but for all of us that went ahead and bought a PS5 and bought an Xbox Series X, I don't think they're gonna be able to use the full potential of the Xbox Series X. I really don't, unless there's gonna be games that only play on the Xbox Series X, and if that happens, oh boy, Dog 1985, there's levels to this. I already know. Bring the hate. Do what you do. Leave your comments. Listen, if you feel how I feel, get on these comments and defend me, dog. Don't just let these people bombard me with all this stuff. Get on these comments and defend me, because some people act like, no, the S is not going to hold anything back. I don't think so. I think it is. We out. Peace.